Good morning, good morning, good morning. Yes, my name is Beatrice Wangui Muteru. I am here, or rather, I decided to do this video to answer some few questions that people have been asking me over time. I am a baker, a self-taught baker, or what I normally like to call myself a hobby baker, because my baking started as a hobby, practically a hobby. It's a hobby that I developed as a small girl who was just like around 15 years old in Form 2. That's when I can say my business picked up. So one of the basic questions many people ask me wherever I am is, how and when did you start your cake business? Can I surprise you? Sometimes I really don't know the answer to that question. Why? Because my baking started as a joke. Actually, a joke. Do you know that? A joke. Because, like a little girl, and I'm sure many young people, children at home, whenever your mothers, your parents go to the marketplace and they buy you a cake. I was brought up in the village there in Nyeri. And my mother would go to the market, and she used to love buying for us children something we used to call, for lack of a better word, keki. You know why? It looked like a discus. I know many people know. Yeah, many of you know that discuss thing. And that thing was sweet. Wacheni niwaambie, hiyo kitu ilikuwanga tamu. It used to be very, very sweet. I really used to love eating it. And from there, slowly, God has his way of blessing his people. It planted some curiosity in me, and I started wanting to know how is it done, so that when my mother has not brought us that thing, the discus, what is it that I can do to make it by myself, for ourselves, and for my sisters and brothers? And so by and by I started experimenting. Of course it would flop. it would really flop. But do you know God? I told you he has his plans always developed for you. My cousin came visiting. My cousin, who is also my namesake, her name is Beatrice. She's late now. May God rest her soul in eternal peace. In their school, they were doing home science, and so they were doing baking. And so when she visited us, she wanted to surprise, she wanted to surprise us by, with making a cake. So she did a cake, and let me tell you, up to today, do you know, I smell that cake. I always see the crack that formed on top of that cake. I see it like it was yesterday. That's how I discovered, and that's how I have always known cake making was in me. Only I did not know. Because Beatrice, after some time, she forgot how to bake, and she didn't even care anymore because she went into other things. But for me, just because a cake was made in our home, and kube, it met fertile soil in me, because there was that need in me, I started growing that need, and day by day I would long when I cross school so that I come and break the eggs and start making the cake again. And by, I started getting better and better and better with each cake that I did. Without realizing, by, people started noticing around my village. And because in church, people would, they were renewing their weddings, and so the little girl in the neighborhood who would make good cakes was Beatrice. And so I started making cakes for people. I didn't know how to decorate. I would put a little flower here, a little flower there. Soon and very soon, my dad discovered this girl has a gift. And so he's the one who did more research for me. There's a place he used to go to Nyeri. Those people who come from Nyeri, those days, wachani ninyi wa sahi. There was a shop, by the way, it's still there. Osman Alu, whatever. Osman Alu. That shop, that's where my father bought icing sugar for me. And he also asked the Asian lady there how it is done. So he's the one who actually brought the recipe for me. Then during that time, the Daily Nation had an insert, a children insert inside the Saturday Nation. And that insert had a hobby corner. And mostly they would put a recipe there. So in one of that also used to help me propel my gift. And I used to also try to make out the cakes that were there. And so going back to the icing sugar story, when my dad brought it, I started mixing. There was no internet that I could learn. Today, everybody is saying they are learning from YouTube. That time, there was nothing like that to learn. So you just be, what do I want to say? What you know. So I mixed the icing, and soon enough, I was able to make it, stand when I pipe it on a cake. And let me tell you, those were our best moments with my sisters and brothers. We would go around the cake, try to put blue stars here, yellow swirls there, and in the best way I used to know how. Yeah. And that's how I started decorating and baking and decorating cakes. And to cut a long story short, it is what they say, practice makes perfect. Today, I'm a product of I'm a self-taught baker. I have never attended anyone's class, by the way, in baking. I have taught myself everything I know, because again, when I now wanted to go commercial, the bakers that time, they didn't want to teach. And that's why I teach so vigorously, so seriously. I promised myself the day I will discover how to make cakes and how to decorate properly, how to make flowers, I will not allow another Kenyan to go to get trouble trying to make. Today, I know many of you bakers have passed through Joy Bell's hands, somehow. And I'm proud of that. Every time I see a baker doing well and competing in the market, I feel happy, and I feel so humbled, and I tell God, thank you. Who trained me? I have already answered that. I'm a self-taught baker. I continue learning now more on YouTube, thanks to internet. So I thank God. Bere iko sawa. Let me tell you, bakers, we can do it.